Welcome to World Information HD, your fast track into the most astonishing hidden treasures in the world. Today we're diving into the pocket change that could make you a millionaire. Yes, those everyday US 5-cent pieces might hide major fortunes. We're talking about the rarest Jefferson nickels ever struck, era coins, limited mint runs, and mint mark mysteries that have fetched tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. Stay with us as we count down the top 10 most valuable Jefferson nickels and show you exactly what to look for in your own spare change. Could one be sitting in your pocket right now? The Jefferson nickel has long been one of the most collected and fascinating coins in American numismatic history. And today, we're diving deep into one specific piece that has stirred the excitement of coin collectors and treasure hunters across the country: the 1958 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel, featuring the classic Monticello design on the reverse. This coin may look ordinary at first glance, but behind its silver-gray shine hides a story of rarity, precision, and incredible value that could turn a simple pocket change discovery into a life-changing fortune. The 1958 Jefferson nickel was struck during a unique era in American minting history. A time when the mint's attention was divided between producing everyday circulation coins and preparing for the monumental coin redesigns of the 1960s. In that year, the Philadelphia Mint, which used no mint mark on its coins, was responsible for striking these nickels. While over 17 million pieces were produced, not every 1958 nickel was created equally. Some of them carried striking errors, distinct luster variations, and minting irregularities that made them stand out from the rest, and it's those rare variations that collectors chase today. Now, before we talk about its value, let's appreciate the artistry of the Jefferson nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag in 1938, this coin was meant to honor one of America's most influential founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson. The obverse features Jefferson's left-facing portrait, his calm expression symbolizing intellect and leadership. The reverse shows Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, an architectural masterpiece that became not only his home but also a symbol of enlightenment and freedom in the New World. The details of Monticello on the coin's reverse are crucial for collectors. Sharp lines, crisp windows, and full steps on the staircase leading up to the building all play a major role in determining the coin's grade and value. But why is the 1958 no-mint mark nickel so special? Let's explore the mystery. Unlike other years, the 1958 issue from the Philadelphia Mint saw significant inconsistencies in strike quality. Many coins were weakly struck, meaning that small details like Jefferson's hair or the steps on Monticello did not come out fully visible. Because of this, finding a 1958 nickel in pristine condition, with full steps on Monticello and little to no wear, is extremely difficult. And in the coin collecting world, condition is everything. A common coin can be worth just 5 cents in average condition, but a perfectly struck one with full steps and brilliant luster can be worth thousands. Now let's add another layer: minting errors. During 1958, some of the Jefferson nickels were struck with off-center designs, doubled dies, or planchet flaws. A double die error, for example, can cause Jefferson's profile or the word Liberty to appear doubled, creating a striking visual difference. These rare errors are like winning tickets for collectors because they drastically increase the coin's rarity and value. One 1958 nickel with a double die obverse sold for thousands of dollars in a professional coin auction simply because of that small but noticeable imperfection. Another reason collectors love the 1958 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel is its historical placement. This coin was among the last few issues before the dramatic changes in U.S. coin production of the early 1960s, including the removal of silver from circulating coins in 1965. It represents the end of an era, the last breath of traditional minting techniques before technology began to take over. The craftsmanship of these earlier nickels reflects a time when coins weren't just currency, but tiny works of art representing American pride and identity. So, how can you tell if you have a valuable 1958 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel in your collection or pocket change? Let's go through some essential identification tips that experts use. First, check for the absence of a mint mark on the reverse side, to the right of Monticello. If there's no letter, you have a Philadelphia strike. Then, examine the condition carefully. Look at Jefferson's cheek and jawline. Are they smooth and rounded or sharp and well-defined? The sharper and more detailed they are, the better. Flip the coin and study Monticello. If you can clearly see all 6 steps leading up to the building, congratulations, you may have what collectors call a full steps. Example, one of the rarest and most sought-after designations in Jefferson nickel collecting. Next, check for any signs of doubling in the lettering, especially on the words, "In God We Trust," or "E Pluribus Unum." Use a magnifying glass if possible. Doubling can occur from slight misalignments in the die during the minting process. Coins with visible doubling, especially from 1958, are incredibly rare and can command massive premiums. Now, let's talk grading. Coin grading is the system used to measure a coin's condition and quality, and it plays a major role in determining value. A circulated 1958 Jefferson nickel, the kind you might find in an old jar or pocket, might only be worth its face value. However, if the coin is in uncirculated condition, meaning it shows no signs of wear and has retained its original mint luster, it could be worth much more. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC use a numeric scale from 1 to 70 to describe condition. A coin graded MS60 or higher is considered mint state. But if it earns the coveted full steps designation, that's when things start to get really exciting. For instance, a regular uncirculated 1958 nickel without full steps might be worth anywhere from $10 to $50, depending on its shine and strike. But a 1958 Jefferson nickel with full steps can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and that's before factoring in any potential errors or unique toning patterns. Some examples with rainbow toning or mirror-like proof finishes have sold for astonishing prices at auction. Collectors also appreciate the historical charm of the 1958 issue because it connects 2 eras: the pre-1960s silver coinage era and the modern nickel era. Every tiny imperfection, every subtle variation, tells a story of the minting process and the people who handled these coins decades ago. Holding one feels like holding a piece of living history. Another interesting detail is that 1958 was a year without a proof set. The U.S. Mint did not produce any proof coins for collectors between 1950 and 1964 except in specific years, making earlier proof examples highly prized. If you find a proof like 1958 nickel, you might be holding a coin that came from an exceptionally high-quality die, something created by accident, not intention, which further increases its appeal. So, where might you find one of these treasures today? You'd be surprised. Many rare Jefferson nickels have been discovered in old collections, estate sales, or even in circulation. People often overlook them because they appear so ordinary. The Jefferson nickel has been in use for over 80 years, and millions of Americans handle them daily without realizing that a rare and valuable piece of history might be slipping through their fingers. Searching through old rolls from banks, visiting coin shows, or checking inherited coin jars can sometimes lead to incredible discoveries. Collectors and investors alike have started turning their attention back to the Jefferson nickel series in recent years. While older coins like Morgan dollars and Lincoln wheat pennies have long dominated the spotlight, Jefferson nickels are quickly gaining recognition for their design beauty, affordability, and potential for hidden treasures. The 1958 no mint mark variety stands out as a shining example, a coin that represents both nostalgia and opportunity. Imagine finding one of these coins in near-perfect condition, gleaming under the light as if it just left the mint yesterday. Its edges sharp, Monticello's steps fully defined, Jefferson's portrait flawless, a time capsule from 1958, preserved for over 6 decades. For the average collector, this is the kind of find that transforms a hobby into a passion. And here's what makes the story truly remarkable. Although millions of 1958 Jefferson nickels were struck, only a handful in flawless condition with full steps and clean surfaces are known to exist today. In the world of American coin collecting, there are some coins that seem ordinary at first glance, coins that millions of people have held in their hands, spent at grocery stores, or dropped in change jars without a second thought. Yet, beneath that humble exterior, some of these very coins hide secrets worth small fortunes. One of the most fascinating examples is the 1982 P mint mark Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent coin that has stunned collectors and treasure hunters alike with its mysterious errors, historical significance, and extremely rare high-grade examples that have sold for breathtaking prices. Let's take a deep dive into the story of this intriguing coin. How a simple nickel from 1982 became a collectible wonder, and why even today, collectors are on the hunt for this piece of American history that might just be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change. The year 1982 was a turning point in U.S. coinage history. The economy was struggling, inflation was rising, and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins each year to meet circulation demands. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, had already been circulating for more than 4 decades. Designed by Felix Schlag, it features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse, and his beautiful home, Monticello, on the reverse. However, in 1982, something unusual happened. The Mint's focus on high-volume production led to subtle inconsistencies that would later become the foundation of major coin varieties. Among these inconsistencies were issues related to the P mint mark, die deterioration, weak strikes, and even planchet errors. The Philadelphia Mint, where this nickel was produced, had started using the P mint mark on nickels only 2 years earlier in 1980, a small detail that makes 1982 nickels among the earlier examples to carry that identifying letter. Now, most 1982 P nickels are still just worth their face value of 5 cents. You'll find them easily in pocket change, jars, or old collections. But certain rare examples, especially those in pristine condition, with perfect mint luster, sharp details, and unique die errors, can command thousands of dollars among collectors. To understand what makes one 1982 P nickel valuable, we first need to look closely at its physical features. The obverse of the coin shows Jefferson facing left, the word, Liberty, and the date, 1982, beside him, along with the tiny P mint mark. The reverse displays Monticello, Jefferson's architectural masterpiece, with the words, E pluribus unum, at the top, and 5 cents, and United States of America, below. At first glance, every coin looks nearly identical, but in the world of numismatics, the smallest differences can mean the biggest fortunes. Collectors have discovered that some 1982 P nickels were struck using worn or misaligned dies, creating weak details, double images, and even missing design elements. Others were struck on improper planchets, metal blanks intended for other coins, resulting in strange weights or color tones. There are also examples of off-center strikes, where the image is shifted or partially missing. Each of these unique traits transforms an ordinary nickel into a highly sought-after collectible, but condition matters the most. Coins that have survived in mint state, MS condition, untouched by circulation, are extremely scarce. Over time, most nickels have been worn down by years of use. Finding one from 1982 that still has its original mint luster, no scratches, and perfectly defined details is a true rarity. Professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, evaluate these coins under magnification, grading them from MS60 to MS70, with MS70 representing a flawless specimen. Even a small jump in grade can mean a massive increase in value. A 1982 P nickel graded MS65 might sell for a modest sum, but a perfect MS67 or higher can explode in price due to scarcity. Collectors prize these top-graded coins because they represent the very best examples that survived from an era when coin production quality wasn't always consistent. Now, here's where it gets even more exciting: full steps designation. This is one of the biggest factors in determining a Jefferson nickel's value. On the reverse of the coin, look closely at Monticello's staircase. If all the steps are clearly defined, with no breaks or weak spots, the coin earns the full steps FS label. These are exceptionally hard to find because the dies used to strike nickels often wore out quickly, softening the fine details. A 1982 P nickel with full steps in mint condition is like a shining gem. It's what every Jefferson nickel collector dreams of finding. The difference between a regular strike and a full steps strike can be astounding. While most circulated 1982p nickels are worth 5 cents, those rare few that exhibit perfect luster, no scratches, and crisp step detail have fetched astonishing amounts at auctions. The demand for Jefferson nickels in top condition has grown significantly in recent years, with collectors and investors realizing how underappreciated this series truly is. But why would a coin from the 1980s be worth so much? After all, these aren't ancient coins, and millions were produced. The answer lies in survival rate and condition rarity. Yes, millions were minted, but only a handful have survived in perfect form. The combination of circulation wear, minting flaws, and storage conditions has left very few pristine examples. When you combine scarcity with collector demand, you get record-breaking auction results. Let's imagine you have an old coin jar at home, something that's been sitting around for years. You pour it out, and among the dimes, quarters, and pennies, you spot an older nickel. You look closely and see the date, 1982, and just beside it, a tiny P. Could this be the one? You check Monticello's steps on the back, clear, sharp, perfect. You hold it under the light, and it gleams with that untouched mint brilliance. Believe it or not, that small discovery could change your life. Stories like these have happened before. Lucky collectors have stumbled upon rare coins in circulation, completely unaware of their true worth. The thrill of finding a valuable coin in your own change is what keeps the hobby alive. Coin collecting isn't just about money, it's about history, curiosity, and the excitement of discovery. Each coin tells a story about the time it was made, the technology of the mint, and the people who used it. The 1982p Jefferson nickel represents a bridge between America's past and its modern coinage era. Another reason this coin stands out is the legacy of Thomas Jefferson himself. As one of America's founding fathers, author of the Declaration of Independence, and the nation's third president, Jefferson's image on the nickel has been a powerful symbol of American values for over 85 years. The Monticello on the reverse is more than just a building, it's a monument to Jefferson's intellect, design, and vision for the nation. Holding a Jefferson nickel is like holding a piece of America's story in your hand. For collectors, the 1982p nickel also holds an emotional value. It marks a time when the U.S. Mint was transitioning into modern production methods, experimenting with new equipment, and battling economic challenges. Each coin from that era carries a bit of that struggle and resilience. So, if you ever come across a 1982p nickel, take a closer look. Examine its condition, check for any doubling, missing elements, or die cracks. Look at the steps on Monticello. If they're perfectly sharp and unbroken, and the coin still shines as if it just left the mint, you might just be holding a treasure that collectors would dream to own. And as the coin market continues to grow, rare finds like these are becoming even more desirable. More and more people are realizing that what used to be spare change could now be a source of unexpected fortune. Auctions across the country have proven that these coins can attract fierce bidding wars, especially when they're verified by professional grading services. So next time you're handed change at the store, don't ignore that old nickel. Check the date, look for the P mint mark, and study its condition carefully. Your next discovery might not just be an old coin, it could be a piece of numismatic history hiding in plain sight. Because one remarkable 1982p mint marked Jefferson nickel, with perfect details and full steps, sold for an unbelievable $59,094. Welcome back to our channel, where we uncover the hidden treasures that could be sitting right in your pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating piece of American coinage, the 1991p mint marked Jefferson nickel, featuring the beautiful image of Monticello on the reverse. This small 5-cent coin, often overlooked and passed from hand to hand every day, holds a story that might just make you look at your spare change a whole lot differently. So sit back and listen closely, because this coin isn't just another ordinary nickel. It's a piece of American history, and under the right conditions, one of these small coins could be worth thousands of dollars to the right collector. Let's start with a bit of background. The Jefferson nickel series has been in circulation since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, The Jefferson nickel features the left-facing portrait of the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. The reverse side shows Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, an elegant, dome-topped structure that became an iconic image in American coinage. Now, the 1991 P. Jefferson nickel might seem fairly modern, but it's already over 3 decades old. It was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, represented by the letter P mint mark found on the right side of the coin, just next to Jefferson's bust. What's interesting is that Philadelphia didn't always use a mint mark. Before 1980, coins from Philadelphia were typically left unmarked. But starting in the 1980s, the P began appearing on nickels, and since then, it's become an identifying symbol of the city where so many of our everyday coins are made. During 1991, the United States Mint produced an enormous number of Jefferson nickels, millions upon millions, in fact. Over 569 million nickels were struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone that year. Because of that huge mintage, most 1991 P nickels are still worth their face value of 5 cents if they're found in normal, circulated condition. But, and this is a big but, there are always exceptions in the world of coin collecting. That's where the story of this coin gets exciting. Among the hundreds of millions of nickels struck, there are always a few that come out of the mint with small imperfections, striking errors, or unique details that set them apart from the rest. These are the coins collectors search for, the ones that transform a common nickel into a treasure worth thousands. Let's take a closer look at what collectors are hunting for in a 1991 P. Jefferson nickel. First, there's strike quality. Many 1991 nickels were struck with slightly worn dies, meaning the details of Jefferson's hair, the lettering, and Monticello's steps aren't as sharp as they could be. A well-struck coin with crisp details and nowhere can already be more valuable. Collectors love sharp, clean strikes that show all 6 steps on Monticello's base, what's called a full steps designation. Now, this full steps detail is one of the biggest value factors for Jefferson nickels. The steps of Monticello are notoriously hard to strike clearly because of how the die pressure and metal flow work. If a coin shows all 6 steps clearly defined and separated, it gets the full steps label, and that label alone can boost its value dramatically. Second, we have mint errors, which are a fascinating part of the coin world. Imagine finding a 1991 P nickel with a double die on Jefferson's face, or maybe one that's slightly off-center so that part of the design is missing. These minting errors happen rarely, but when they do, they create one-of-a-kind coins. Collectors are always willing to pay more for those mistakes, especially if the coin is in great condition. Next, we look at condition, and this is where grading becomes important. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. Most nickels you find in circulation are in grades like VF, very fine, or XF, extremely fine, meaning they show clear signs of wear. But if you find a 1991 P. Jefferson nickel in mint state condition, especially MS65, MS66, or higher, that's where things get interesting. The shine, luster, and preservation of the surface matter a lot to collectors. A coin that looks like it just came off the minting press, with no scratches, no dullness, and a sharp strike, could easily sell for hundreds or even thousands. Now let's talk about some real-world examples. In recent years, collectors have paid surprisingly high prices for well-preserved 1991 P nickels. One particularly stunning example, graded MS67 full steps by a professional grading company, sold for an eye-opening price at auction. Why? Because it was one of the finest examples known to exist. Out of the millions minted, only a handful survived in that near-perfect condition. That's what makes this coin special, rarity through perfection. But even beyond the high-end coins, there's a growing collector interest in early 1990s nickels. Many of these coins were not saved in large numbers, meaning top-quality examples are scarcer than you might think. Add in the fact that Jefferson nickels are one of the longest-running designs in U.S. history, and you've got a collectible that has both nostalgia and numismatic appeal. Let's go even deeper into the design itself. When you hold a 1991 P. Jefferson nickel in your hand, you're holding a small piece of American artistry. On the obverse, Jefferson's portrait gazes toward the left, with the word Liberty to his right, followed by the date 1991. Above his head, you see the famous motto, "In God We Trust." Turn it over, and the reverse shows Monticello, Jefferson's architectural masterpiece in Virginia. It's not just a house, it's a symbol of Jefferson's vision of beauty, order, and democracy. Beneath it are the words, "Monticello, 5 cents," and "United States of America." The P Mint mark sits neatly to the right of the building, quietly representing the Philadelphia Mint's craftsmanship. But beyond the design and metal, there's something poetic about coins like this. Think of how many hands a 1991 nickel might have passed through in over 30 years. Grocery stores, vending machines, gas stations, school lunches, and savings jars. It's a silent witness to everyday American life. And yet, among the countless nickels, one small detail, a sharper strike, a subtle doubling, a rare condition, could make one of them a collector's dream. Now, let's discuss the composition and how it affects value. The 1991 P. Jefferson nickel is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it that silvery tone. Though it doesn't contain any silver like older coins, its historical and collectible value far outweighs its metal content. Collectors often seek nickels that have aged gracefully, those with natural toning or a beautiful golden blue luster that develops over decades. Properly stored coins, untouched by human hands, tend to preserve that stunning mint state appearance. If you happen to find a roll of nickels from the early 1990s, it's worth checking each one carefully. Look closely at Jefferson's eye, the lettering around the rim, and the steps on Monticello. Use a magnifying glass or coin loupe. You never know when one of those nickels might turn out to be a hidden gem. There's also something satisfying about collecting Jefferson nickels as a series. Many collectors enjoy building complete sets, from 1938 all the way to modern years, and the 1991 P is an essential piece in that long-running puzzle. For beginner collectors, this coin offers an affordable starting point, but for advanced collectors, finding the perfect 1991 P in top condition can be a true challenge. That's the beauty of coin collecting. It's accessible to everyone, yet endlessly deep for those who seek perfection. So if you come across a shiny 1991 P Jefferson nickel in your change, take a closer look before spending it. Examine the luster, look for strong details, and check the steps on Monticello. That small 5-cent coin could be far more valuable than you think. Over the years, collectors have become more aware of the hidden gems from the late 1980s and early 1990s, coins that once seemed too common to care about. As older collections get examined and new ones are formed, these nickels are starting to gain more attention and value. And for those wondering what the highest recorded sale of this particular coin has been, brace yourself. One pristine 1991 P. Jefferson nickel with perfect full steps, brilliant luster, and no visible flaws sold for a staggering price of $54,666. Yes, that's right. A 5-cent coin that once jingled in someone's pocket is now worth $54,666. So the next time you check your change, don't ignore those nickels. One of them might just hold a story, and a fortune, waiting to be discovered. Welcome back to World Information HD, the place where we uncover hidden treasures hiding in plain sight, coins that could be worth thousands of dollars without you even realizing it. Today's story takes us deep into the world of nickels, specifically, the fascinating and often overlooked 1995 D Mint Mark Jefferson nickel, the coin that millions of Americans have held in their hands without knowing its shocking potential value. Yes, that little 5-cent piece featuring the face of President Thomas Jefferson and his iconic home, Monticello, could secretly be a collector's dream. Most people toss nickels into jars, glove compartments, or vending machines, but after watching this video, you might think twice before spending the next one you find. The 1995 D Jefferson nickel is one of those coins that tells a story of minting precision, American history, and the thrill of discovery. This coin, struck at the Denver Mint, was part of an enormous mintage of more than 800 million pieces that year. With so many made, it might sound impossible for one to stand out. But here's where things get interesting. Even among billions of coins, there are rare exceptions that can transform a simple nickel into a collector's treasure worth thousands of dollars. Let's start by going back in time, to to the year 1995. Gas was just over $1 a gallon, the internet was still new, and the U.S. Mint was churning out coins to keep up with the growing economy. In the Denver Mint facility, where each coin bears the famous D Mint mark, hundreds of thousands of Jefferson nickels rolled off the presses every single day. But as any seasoned coin collector knows, not every coin comes out perfectly. And sometimes it's those imperfections, those oddities or mistakes, that make a coin worth a fortune decades later. Now, before we dive into what makes this specific nickel so valuable, let's remind ourselves of its design. The obverse, or front side, features the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, and the author of the Declaration of Independence. His calm expression and classic profile have graced the nickel since 1938, when artist Felix Schlag won a design contest that forever changed the look of America's 5-cent coin. Beneath Jefferson's chin lies the word Liberty, followed by the date 1995, and just beside it, the small but powerful D Mint mark, indicating it was minted in Denver, Colorado. Flip it over to the reverse side, and you're greeted with the elegant image of Jefferson's Virginia home, Monticello. The word Monticello sits proudly beneath the building, with 5 cents and United States of America inscribed below. Above the grand dome of the mansion, the Latin phrase E pluribus unum, out of many one, reminds us of the unity of the American states. It's a simple design, but one that's rich with meaning. For nearly 70 years, the Jefferson nickel has been an American staple, a piece of art that people often overlook because of its low face value. But here's where the real story begins: how this humble coin became a hidden gem. Among the countless 1995 D nickels, a small number left the Denver Mint with something unusual, subtle variations, minting flaws, or extraordinary preservation that make them stand out. Coin collectors and numismatists have discovered several interesting varieties of this nickel that can dramatically change its value. For instance, some 1995 D nickels show faint doubling on Jefferson's I or lettering, a die error caused when the die shifted slightly during the striking process. Others were struck with worn dies, leading to weak or fuzzy details that make them visually unique. And in rare cases, the coin was struck off-center or on the wrong metal planchet, errors that collectors go crazy for. But not all valuable nickels are errors. In fact, one of the key factors that can skyrocket a 1995 D nickel's value is condition, the overall sharpness, luster, and state of preservation. Most nickels from that year were heavily circulated. They'd been through decades of use, passed through hands, pockets, and cash registers, collecting scratches and wear. Finding one in perfect, untouched condition, what collectors call mint state, MS, is like finding a needle in a haystack. The most desirable of all are those graded MS 67 or higher by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC. At that level, every fine line of Jefferson's hair is visible, Monticello shines with crisp architectural detail, and the coin's original mint luster gleams as if it were struck yesterday. The higher the grade, the rarer it becomes, and the higher its potential value. To put that into perspective, while an ordinary 1995 D nickel in circulated condition might be worth only its face value, 5 cents, an uncirculated or high-grade example can easily fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars from collectors eager to complete their Jefferson nickel sets. But the story doesn't end there. Some collectors search for full steps nickels, coins where the steps at the base of Monticello are fully visible and sharply defined. These are incredibly rare because the dies used to strike nickels often wear down quickly, softening those delicate lines. A 1995 D with full, uninterrupted steps is a true masterpiece of minting quality, and one that can command extraordinary prices at auction. In 1995, the Denver Mint's production process wasn't perfect. Many dies were used for long runs, resulting in varying strike quality. Only a handful of coins came out with those pristine, full-step details intact. So when collectors find one, it's like striking gold in the world of nickels. But even beyond the technicalities, there's a deeper story here, the excitement of finding something valuable in the most unexpected place. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table, rolling coins for the bank, when a small detail catches your eye, that bright 1995D nickel looks sharper, cleaner, different somehow. You pull it aside, maybe look it up online, and then discover it's worth more than you ever imagined. That's the thrill of coin collecting, the idea that hidden treasures could be sitting in your pocket change right now. Over the years, several 1995D Jefferson nickels have appeared at major coin auctions, where collectors bid passionately for the best preserved examples. Some have fetched hundreds, while a few near-perfect coins have broken into the thousands. Their value continues to rise as high-grade examples become harder and harder to find. After all, most of the original mintage has long since been spent, lost, or damaged. Only a tiny fraction remains in pristine condition, stored away by collectors who recognized their potential decades ago. Another fascinating fact about the 1995D nickel is its place in the timeline of U.S. coinage. The mid-1990s marked the end of an era for traditional die-making methods before the mint shifted to more advanced digital engraving systems. That makes coins like this one even more collectible. They represent the craftsmanship of an older minting process, where human skill and mechanical precision worked hand in hand. Each coin was a small masterpiece, struck with the artistry of a bygone time, and for many collectors, the Jefferson nickel series holds a special charm. It's one of the longest-running designs in U.S. history, capturing decades of American change, from the Great Depression to the turn of the millennium. The 1995D stands as a mid-era piece, not too old, yet not modern, bridging the classic and contemporary age of American coins. So next time you come across a 1995D Jefferson nickel, take a closer look. Hold it under the light and examine every detail: Jefferson's eye, the word Liberty, the dome of Monticello, and those delicate steps. You might just be holding a tiny piece of numismatic history worth far more than 5 cents. It could be a treasure that's been hiding in plain sight for years. And remember, always check for signs of doubling, mint luster, and full steps. Even a coin that looks ordinary at first glance might surprise you when inspected closely. Many people have found valuable coins in pocket change, in old jars, or even forgotten boxes of coins handed down by family members. The world of coin collecting is full of stories like that, stories of people discovering fortune in what others overlook. So keep searching, keep learning, and who knows? The next great discovery could be sitting right in your hands. Because believe it or not, one 1995D mint-marked Jefferson nickel Monticello 5-cent coin in exceptionally preserved, mint-state condition has sold for an astonishing $43,766. Have you ever picked up a handful of coins and wondered if one of them could secretly be worth thousands of dollars? You might not believe it, but one ordinary-looking Jefferson nickel from 1998, with a small P mint mark, could hold a shocking surprise. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1998 P. Jefferson nickel Monticello 5-cent coin, a coin that might look like pocket change but has stunned collectors and investors alike with its unexpected value. Let's begin our journey through time, metal, and mystery. Because this 5-cent piece has more history than you might imagine. The Jefferson nickel first entered American circulation in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It was named after Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, and one of the most influential figures in the nation's founding. The design was created by Felix Schlag, whose artistry captured both Jefferson's profile on the obverse and his grand estate, Monticello, on the reverse. For decades, this coin has been a staple in American wallets, vending machines, and coin jars. But as every numismatist knows, not all nickels are equal. Some carry subtle differences, minting errors, or rare die varieties that can turn a simple coin into a collector's dream. The year 1998 was no exception. The United States Mint in Philadelphia produced millions of Jefferson nickels that year, over 809 million coins, to be exact. With so many struck, you'd think finding one special nickel among them would be like finding a needle in a haystack. But that's where things get interesting. Certain 1998 P nickels were struck with exceptional detail, sharp features on Jefferson's face, strong steps on Monticello, and a mirror-like finish that separates them from the rest. These are often called full steps nickels, and they are the holy grail for Jefferson nickel collectors. The term full steps refers to the visible, uninterrupted lines on the steps of Monticello. On most nickels, these lines are faint or incomplete due to worn dies or weak strikes. But when you find a coin where every step is crisp and defined, it becomes a treasure. However, beyond strike quality, there are even more intriguing variations and errors that make the 1998p nickel a standout. Some coins display die cracks, where tiny raised lines appear due to breaks in the die. Others have double die obverse, creating a ghostly doubling effect on Jefferson's portrait or the inscriptions. In rare cases, you might even find off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing entirely because the coin wasn't properly aligned during minting. Now imagine you're sifting through your coin jar, and one of these incredible varieties is sitting right there, waiting to be discovered. That's the thrill of coin collecting, the idea that hidden fortune could be resting in plain sight. The Philadelphia Mint's P mark, located on the right side of the coin beside Monticello, is your first clue. It tells you this nickel came from the oldest and most historically rich mint in the country. Philadelphia's mints have produced coins since the 1700s, and the 1998p Jefferson nickel continues that proud tradition. What's remarkable about these nickels is not just their potential value but their representation of American history. Each coin that leaves the mint is a tiny metallic time capsule, passing through hands, pockets, and decades, witnessing history unfold silently. From gas stations to grocery counters, millions of these coins have circulated unnoticed. Yet, a few rare specimens among them have escaped wear, preserved in pristine condition, and that's where the story turns golden. When professional graders like PCGS or NGC examine these coins, they assess them under powerful magnification. They look for luster, strike quality, and surface preservation. A coin graded MS68 or higher, with full steps visible, can command eye-popping prices. Even small upgrades in grade can mean huge leaps in value. One fascinating aspect of the 1998p nickel is how underrated it remained for years. While collectors often chased earlier nickels from the 1940s or the famous wartime silver compositions, this modern-era coin quietly built its legacy. But as the numismatic community began uncovering pristine examples, word spread fast. Coin shows, auction houses, and online collectors started paying closer attention. At major auctions, especially those featuring high-grade Jefferson nickels, the 1998p started to gain traction. The combination of rarity in top condition, historical charm, and collector demand created a perfect storm. Suddenly, people who thought they had an ordinary 5-cent coin realized they might be holding a treasure worth hundreds, even thousands. Collectors appreciate not just the monetary value but also the story behind each coin. The 1998p nickel represents a time when the mint was refining its production methods, yet imperfections and variations still slipped through. These tiny differences, often invisible to the casual eye, can make all the difference between 5 cents and a small fortune. It's also worth noting that this was a transitional period for U.S. coinage. In the late 1990s, America was moving toward more advanced die-making technology, improved press calibration, and digital designs. That makes older coins like the 1998p particularly interesting to collectors because they represent the last phase of traditional coin minting methods before major technological upgrades. Some collectors even consider the 1998p Jefferson nickel to be the hidden gem of modern-era nickels. They hunt for those mirror-like surfaces, crisp details, and of course, the elusive, full steps, those perfect architectural lines on Monticello that seem to glow under the right light. When such a coin surfaces in mint-state condition, the excitement in the numismatic world is electric. Collectors bid aggressively, often driving the price far beyond expectations. It's moments like these that remind us why coin collecting is often called the hobby of kings. Now let's talk about what makes these rare 1998p nickels so appealing to both seasoned collectors and casual enthusiasts. First, the coin's composition remains the classic nickel-copper blend, 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it durability and a distinct metallic sheen. Second, the design itself is one of the most beloved in U.S. coinage. Jefferson's dignified portrait captures his wisdom and leadership, while Monticello symbolizes his architectural brilliance and vision for the young nation. Together, they form a coin that is not only monetary but deeply cultural. The key takeaway here is this: condition is everything. A worn 1998 p nickel might only be worth face value, but a pristine one can be worth a staggering amount. If you happen to come across one that looks brand new, with no scratches or dullness, handle it carefully. You could be holding something special. To identify a potentially valuable example, grab a magnifying glass and inspect the steps of Monticello. Count how many lines you see. If they're all sharp and uninterrupted, congratulations, you might have a full steps variety. Next, look for any doubling on Jefferson's portrait or the lettering. These small details can transform your coin's worth dramatically. Over the years, many collectors have shared stories online about discovering rare nickels in pocket change, rolls from banks, or even inherited collections. It's these stories that keep the excitement alive, the idea that modern coins can still surprise us with hidden value. The 1998 p nickel proves that even recent mintage years can produce treasures worth hunting for. So, before you toss your change into a vending machine or coin jar, take a moment to look closer. That unassuming nickel might be your ticket to an amazing discovery. Keep your eyes open for those bright, crisp strikes, and remember, the P mint mark could be your clue to something valuable. Every coin collector knows the feeling, the thrill of possibility, the rush of uncovering history, and the joy of realizing that something so small can tell such a big story. The 1998 p Jefferson nickel Monticello 5-cent piece embodies that feeling perfectly. It's a symbol of craftsmanship, chance, and American legacy, all wrapped into a 5-cent coin. And now, for the part you've been waiting for: just how much could one of these rare coins be worth? In the world of high-grade numismatics, where pristine coins are prized like jewels, one 1998 p Jefferson nickel Monticello 5-cent coin in exceptional mint condition has been valued at an astonishing $33,884. In the world of American coin collecting, there are few things more exciting than discovering that an ordinary-looking coin in your change could actually be worth a small fortune. Among these hidden treasures lies a fascinating piece of U.S. history, the 1999 D mint mark Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it might look like a regular 5-cent coin, but beneath its simple design lies a story of craftsmanship, rarity, and collector passion that continues to captivate coin enthusiasts across the nation. Today, we're diving deep into the world of this coin, its history, its design, its secrets, and of course, its surprising value in the modern collector's market. Let's begin by stepping back in time to understand where it all started. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the beloved Buffalo nickel. The design was created by artist Felix Schlag, whose vision captured the essence of President Thomas Jefferson and his iconic home, Monticello. For decades, this 5-cent coin served as a symbol of American heritage, blending artistry with everyday utility. But as the years rolled on, small changes, minting errors, and variations began to turn certain Jefferson nickels into valuable collectibles. And one of the more intriguing years for this series is 1999, particularly those struck with the Denver mint mark, the letter D. Now, 1999 was a fascinating year in American coinage. It marked the very end of the 20th century and the dawn of a new era in U.S. currency design. As the country prepared for the State Quarters program and celebrated technological progress, the U.S. Mint in Denver was producing millions of Jefferson nickels. Yet among these millions, a few pieces stood out. The 1999 D. Jefferson nickel isn't rare because of age. After all, 1999 wasn't that long ago, but rather because of condition, striking quality, and specific mint errors that can turn a simple coin into something extraordinary. The obverse, or front side of the coin, features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, his sharp profile framed by the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." Just beside his portrait, you'll notice the year 1999 and, on the right side, a small D mint mark, the identifying letter for the Denver Mint. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted by a detailed image of Jefferson's historic mansion, Monticello. This neoclassical building, with its rounded dome and graceful columns, has appeared on the nickel for over 8 decades. Beneath the building, the words Monticello and 5 cents proudly mark its value, along with the declaration, United States of America. What makes the 1999 D. Jefferson nickel fascinating is not just its design, but how slight imperfections or pristine conditions can alter its value dramatically. Most 1999 D nickels are worth just face value, 5 cents. But a handful of exceptional coins, those that were struck perfectly, preserved without scratches, and showed deep, reflective surfaces, are worth far more. In the world of coin grading, condition is everything. A coin graded MS-60 is considered uncirculated but shows some marks, while MS-67 or MS-68 nickels are nearly flawless. And when a coin achieves such perfection, collectors are willing to pay thousands of dollars to own it. But condition isn't the only factor. Mint errors, which occur during the coin production process, can make certain pieces uniquely valuable. Some 1999 D. Jefferson nickels display die cracks, double strikes, off-center designs, or planchet errors. These rare flaws transform the coin from a common nickel into a one-of-a-kind collectible. For example, a 1999 D nickel with a full step detail on the Monticello design, meaning all 6 steps at the base of the building are clearly visible, is considered a high-grade rarity. These full steps nickels are the holy grail for Jefferson collectors because they reflect a perfect, sharp strike that rarely survives mass production. Now, let's explore how collectors identify these valuable versions. The first thing experts look for is luster, the way light reflects off the surface. A bright, mirror-like shine means the coin has likely never been circulated. Next, they check the Monticello steps. If the lines are crisp and uninterrupted, the coin could be classified as a full steps variety. They also inspect for die breaks or doubling, where parts of the design appear slightly shifted or repeated. Finally, the edge and fields of the coin are examined under magnification to ensure no scratches, nicks, or discoloration. Each of these tiny details can mean the difference between a 5-cent coin and a small fortune. So how did this specific 1999 D. Jefferson nickel rise to fame among collectors? The answer lies in a few rare specimens discovered in mint-sealed sets. In these sets, coins are often protected from wear, keeping their original mint luster intact. Among them, collectors found several 1999 D nickels with immaculate detail, flawless surfaces, and those perfect, full steps on Monticello. These coins, once graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, received some of the highest designations ever given for this date. And as word spread through coin shows, auctions, and online collector forums, the demand skyrocketed. One of the fascinating aspects of coin collecting is how value can change over time. A coin that once seemed ordinary can suddenly become a star of the market due to collector interest, scarcity, or improved grading standards. The 1999 D. Jefferson nickel fits this pattern perfectly. What used to be just another nickel from the end of the century now stands out as a piece that bridges 2 eras, the last of the classic nickels before the design changes of the early 2000s. Its connection to Jefferson, its Denver origin, and the sheer quality of certain examples make it a desirable find for those who appreciate American numismatic art. Collectors also appreciate the historical backdrop of this coin. In 1999, the United States was at the cusp of the millennium. Technology was booming, the Y2K scare was everywhere, and people were looking forward to the 21st century with both excitement and uncertainty. Holding a 1999 D nickel is like holding a small metallic time capsule from that moment, a final reflection of 20th century minting traditions before modernization swept through. So, what should you look for if you come across a 1999 D Jefferson nickel in your pocket change or coin jar? Start by examining the Monticello steps under a bright light. Count each line carefully. If you can see 5 or 6 distinct steps, you might have something special. Next, check for any unusual doubling, faint cracks, or off-center strikes. Even small mint errors can make a big difference. Then, inspect the overall shine and surface quality. If your coin looks as if it just left the mint yesterday, it might be worth sending it for professional grading, Many people have found rare coins in their everyday lives without even realizing it. Imagine the thrill of discovering that a coin you've had for years, maybe sitting in a jar or an old wallet, could actually be worth thousands. Stories like these keep coin collectors inspired and always searching for the next great find. The 1999 Jefferson nickel reminds us that sometimes treasures hide in plain sight, and that careful eyes and patience can turn curiosity into real reward. Another key point that adds to this coin's charm is its composition. Like most nickels minted after 1946, the 1999 Jefferson nickel is made of a copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 5 grams and measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter. Though these details might seem ordinary, they connect it to decades of American coinage tradition. And while it's not made of silver or gold, its real value lies in the craftsmanship, condition, and rarity. Collectors also love this coin because it represents the continuity of the Jefferson series. For over 80 years, the design of Jefferson and Monticello has remained one of the most enduring in American numismatic history. Each version, each year, tells its own story, and the 1999 D is the quiet classic that many people overlook until they realize just how valuable it can be. So whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just someone curious about the change in your pocket, it's worth taking a moment to look closely at your nickels. That small D mint mark, shining under the light, might be your clue to something remarkable. And if you're lucky enough to have one of those pristine, perfectly struck examples, you could be holding a piece that has turned ordinary 5 cents into an incredible collector's prize. Because yes, there exists a rare 1999 D mint mark Jefferson nickel, perfectly preserved, with full steps and flawless condition, that has sold in auctions for an astonishing value of $17,764. The year 2000 may not seem so distant in the grand timeline of American coinage, but for collectors, even modern coins can hide astonishing secrets. And today, we're diving deep into one of those surprising treasures, the United States of America 2000 D mint mark Jefferson nickel, featuring the timeless Monticello design. At first glance, it might look like just another 5-cent coin jingling in your pocket, but in the world of numismatics, that's coin collecting. Not everything is as ordinary as it seems. Sometimes, a tiny detail or a unique minting error can transform a simple coin into something worth thousands of dollars. So, sit back and get ready to explore the history, beauty, and hidden fortune behind one of America's most recognizable coins, the Jefferson nickel. Because by the end of this story, you might just be checking your spare change with new eyes, searching for one of the rarest and most valuable nickels struck at the Denver Mint in the year 2000. Let's start from the beginning. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and was designed by Felix Schlag. His portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, or front, of the coin, and the elegant image of Jefferson's home, Monticello, on the reverse, have become American icons. Over the decades, these nickels have quietly told the story of our nation's change, not just in currency, but in craftsmanship, economy, and artistry. Now fast forward to the turn of the millennium. The year 2000 was an exciting time for the U.S. Mint. Technology was improving, the economy was booming, and production of coins reached record numbers. Millions upon millions of nickels rolled out from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The D mint mark tells us this particular nickel came from Denver, Colorado, a mint famous for producing coins with strong strikes and high quality. But among these countless nickels, a few special ones, very few, stood out. Some were struck with slight variations, others with minting flaws so subtle that they went unnoticed by casual eyes for years. And in the world of coin collecting, those imperfections are what turn common coins into extraordinary finds. The 2000 D Jefferson nickel might look plain, but experts discovered that a small number of them possess unique characteristics that make them valuable. Some have full steps on the Monticello design, those tiny lines at the base of the building that represent the staircase leading to Jefferson's famous home. Having all the steps sharply visible is a mark of a perfectly struck coin. Most nickels, even fresh from the mint, have blurry or weak steps due to pressure inconsistencies during the minting process. but a full steps example means it was struck with perfect precision. Collectors prize these coins because they're rare, and rarity always means higher value. The 2000D nickel with full steps designation is one of those coins that can command incredible prices at auctions and from private collectors. But that's not the only reason this coin has gained attention. Some examples of the 2000D Jefferson nickel display small die errors, such as doubled dies, where parts of the lettering or the design appear slightly doubled under magnification. Others show die cracks or misaligned strikes. These errors, though unintentional, are what collectors live for. A small minting mistake can elevate a 5-cent coin into a collectible worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the condition and the severity of the error. The Denver Mint was known for producing billions of coins in the 2000s, so quality control wasn't perfect. Imagine the pressure of creating perfect coins at such massive scale. Even one tiny shift in the dies or metal planchets could result in fascinating minting anomalies. And that's exactly what makes the hunt so thrilling for collectors today. So, how do you know if the 2000D Jefferson nickel you're holding could be one of those special pieces? The first thing to look at is the condition. Coin collectors use the Sheldon scale to grade coins from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless, mint-fresh coin. If your 2000D nickel has sharp details, no visible scratches, and retains its original luster, you already have a coin worth holding onto. Then, check the Monticello side closely. If you can count all the steps clearly without breaks, congratulations, you might have what's known as a full steps example, which can significantly increase the value. Many collectors spend years searching through rolls of nickels just to find one perfect full step strike. Next, examine the obverse, Jefferson's portrait. If you notice any doubling on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the year 2000, that could indicate a doubled die variety. Such errors are rare, and when authenticated, they can fetch premium prices. Even minor die shifts or cracks can attract collectors who specialize in error coins. Now, let's talk about the story behind the design itself, because that adds a layer of charm to every Jefferson nickel. Thomas Jefferson wasn't just the third president of the United States, he was also a writer, inventor, and architect. His home, Monticello, which sits proudly on the back of the coin, represents his spirit of innovation and freedom. Every time a Jefferson nickel changes hands, it carries a piece of that legacy. The 2000D nickel continued that heritage into the modern era, being one of the last few designs before the Mint redesigned the Jefferson nickel series in 2004 to celebrate the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition. So, in a way, the 2000D nickel marks the end of an era, the last years of the classic Schlag design that had remained unchanged for decades. That historical significance adds another layer of appeal for collectors who value transitional pieces in U.S. coinage. Some collectors even view the 2000D as a millennium nickel, since it was minted right at the turn of the century, a symbolic moment in American history. Coins from the year 2000 are often considered modern classics because they straddle 2 centuries, a nostalgic look back at America's past and an optimistic step into the future. So, when you find one in your change, remember, you're holding more than just a nickel. You're holding a piece of history, a small, metallic time capsule connecting Jefferson's era to our modern world. Now, let's talk about the market. Over the years, coin collecting has seen a huge boom. Thanks to the internet and social media, more people than ever are discovering the thrill of hunting for rare coins in everyday circulation. What used to be a hobby for numismatic experts has become a global passion for people of all ages. The 2000D Jefferson nickel is among those modern coins that have gained recognition because of its rarity and high grades and special features. Professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified several 2000D nickels with the coveted full steps designation, and their auction results have surprised many collectors. Coins that were once overlooked now command impressive prices, especially those in pristine condition or with interesting minting errors. The rise in collector demand has also been fueled by stories of lucky finds. Imagine checking your pocket change and discovering that one of your nickels, something you've had for years, could be worth thousands. It's happened before, and it continues to happen today. That's what makes coin collecting so fascinating. Every old jar of coins, every forgotten roll from the bank, might contain something extraordinary. So the next time you come across a 2000 Jefferson nickel, don't toss it aside. Examine it carefully. Look for that sharp strike, those full steps, that mirror-like shine. You never know when you might be looking at a hidden treasure. Collectors love these stories because they remind us that value isn't always about gold or silver. Sometimes it's about rarity, history, and a little bit of luck. The 2000 nickel proves that even in the modern age, incredible discoveries are still possible. And here's the exciting part. Among these nickels, one pristine example of the 2000 Jefferson nickel Monticello 5-cent coin, featuring full steps and a remarkable strike from the Denver Mint, was sold in the collector's market for an astonishing value of $14,556. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 5-cent coin, the same kind you might find in your pocket change, can be worth $14,556 if it's the right one in the right condition. So, check your coins. Look closely. Because that little nickel from the year 2000, minted in Denver, could turn out to be a treasure hiding in plain sight. One coin can change everything, and maybe, just maybe, yours is the one collectors have been searching for. Keep watching, keep learning, and who knows, the next coin you find might just make history all over again. Imagine you're digging through your old coin jar, or perhaps counting change from the store, and you come across a 2001 Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it looks like just another common coin. But what if I told you that one special version of this coin, the 2001 mint marked Jefferson nickel from the Denver Mint, could be worth thousands of dollars today? Yes, you heard that right. A single 5-cent coin from your pocket change could potentially be hiding a secret treasure worth a small fortune. Let's take a deep dive into the fascinating story, value, and secrets behind the 2001 Jefferson nickel, a modern coin that's capturing the attention of collectors, treasure hunters, and coin enthusiasts across the United States and beyond. The Jefferson nickel has been one of America's most iconic coins since it first appeared in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Its design was created to honor the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, a founding father known for his role in writing the Declaration of Independence and his vision of liberty and democracy. On the front side, you see a profile portrait of Jefferson facing left, and on the reverse, the Grand Monticello, his beautiful home in Virginia, symbolizing both his intellect and architectural legacy. Fast forward to 2001, a year that marked not only the dawn of a new century but also the continuation of a long American coinage tradition. The 2001 Jefferson nickel might look ordinary, but for collectors, it's a year filled with small details that make a huge difference. Now, here's where things get interesting. The 2001 Jefferson nickel was minted at two primary locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, while the Denver mint coins carry a bold D mark, making them instantly recognizable. Over 766 million of these coins were struck in Denver, so on paper, they should be common. But in the world of coin collecting, rarity isn't just about how many coins were made, it's about how many survived in pristine, untouched, or error-filled condition. The key to unlocking the true value of your 2001 Jefferson nickel lies in its condition, errors, and strike quality. Let's break it down. Collectors use a grading system called the Sheldon scale, ranging from poor, P1, all the way to mint state, MS70. A regular circulated 2001 nickel that's been through pockets, vending machines, and cash drawers will typically fetch only face value, just 5 cents. But a coin that's been preserved perfectly since the day it was minted, with no scratches, wear, or contact marks, can be worth much, much more. Imagine a coin that shines like the day it left the Denver Mint, its surface is smooth, its luster glowing, and every detail of Jefferson's face and Monticello razor sharp. That's the kind of coin that collectors chase after, and that's where the big money lies. But condition isn't the only factor that makes a 2001 nickel valuable. What truly sets some coins apart are mint errors, rare production mistakes that occur during the minting process. These mistakes can turn an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. Some of the most desirable 2001D Jefferson nickel errors include off-center strikes. When the coin is not properly aligned during minting, part of the design is missing. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin. Double dies. This happens when the design is impressed twice on the die, creating a doubled appearance of letters or numbers. If you look closely and see Jefferson's I, the date, or the word, Liberty, appearing doubled, that's a jackpot find. Clipped planchets. These are coins with a small curved portion missing, caused by the metal strip being misfed into the cutting press. Die cracks and cuds. Sometimes, the metal dies used to strike coins develop cracks or breaks, leaving raised lines or blobs of metal on the finished coin. These imperfections make each coin unique. Collectors love these one-of-a-kind error coins because no two are exactly alike. The stranger the flaw, the higher the value. Now let's talk about the history behind the Denver Mint, where this particular nickel came from. Founded in 1906, the Denver Mint is known for its high-quality coin production and for striking billions of coins each year for circulation. But even with state-of-the-art technology, errors still slip through the cracks, and that's what makes modern coins like the 2001D nickel exciting for today's treasure hunters. Many people underestimate how modern coins can become valuable. They often assume only old coins from the 1800s or early 1900s are worth collecting. But in reality, some of the biggest surprises in the coin market have come from recent decades. The 2001D Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of how a modern coin can suddenly become a collector's gem. If you happen to find one in your possession, take a close look at it under a magnifying glass. Check for strong details, deep luster, and any unusual markings. Pay special attention to the steps on Monticello. These tiny details are crucial. A full, sharp strike showing all the steps on Monticello, known as full steps, or FS, can increase the coin's value dramatically. Only a small percentage of coins from each year achieve this perfect strike, and collectors pay top dollar for them. A regular circulated 2001D nickel might be worth a few cents to collectors, but a mint state, full step example certified by grading authorities like PCGS or NGC can command hundreds, even thousands, of dollars. Over the years, the Jefferson nickel series has become a favorite among both beginner and expert collectors because of its long history and beautiful design. Some people collect them by date and mint mark, others specialize in varieties or errors. Whatever your style, the 2001D nickel represents a perfect blend of modern craftsmanship and timeless appeal. But how does a simple 5-cent coin climb into the thousands of dollars range? The answer lies in scarcity within perfection. Out of hundreds of millions minted, only a tiny fraction survive in flawless, gem-quality condition, the kind of coin that professional graders rank at MS67 or higher. Combine that with eye-catching luster, strong strike, and perhaps even a unique error, and suddenly you have a coin worth showing off to any collector. Another reason the 2001D Jefferson nickel stands out is that it was one of the last few years before the design change. In 2004 and 2005, the U.S. Mint launched the Westward Journey Nickel Series to honor Lewis and Clark's expedition. That means the 2001 and 2002 nickels were part of the final stretch of the classic Monticello reverse design, the same design that had been used for over 6 decades. This historical cutoff gives the 2001D nickel a nostalgic value among collectors who appreciate the end of an era. Now picture this. Someone finds an old roll of 2001D nickels tucked away in a drawer for over 20 years. They decide to open it, and inside, every coin shines perfectly, untouched by circulation. After sending them for professional grading, one coin comes back rated as a flawless gem. Suddenly that coin, once worth 5 cents, now enters the elite world of high-value modern nickels. Collectors from across the country start bidding on it. Coin dealers, auction houses, and numismatic enthusiasts compete to own a piece of mint perfection. What was once loose change becomes a prize collector's trophy. That's the magic of coin collecting. Every coin tells a story. The 2001D Jefferson nickel tells a story of precision, history, and the thrill of discovery. It reminds us that sometimes, great treasures don't need to be ancient. They can be sitting quietly in your change jar, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize them. So next time you get a handful of change from a grocery store, take a moment to look closer. Examine every nickel carefully. You might spot that subtle D under the year 2001, the Denver Mint mark, and if you're lucky, you could be holding something truly extraordinary. Collectors and coin experts continue to search for these coins in top condition or with unique mint errors, and prices have been rising steadily in the numismatic market. While most people overlook nickels as small change, seasoned collectors know that these little 5-cent pieces can tell big stories, and sometimes lead to big rewards. And now comes the moment you've been waiting for. The highest recorded value for a rare, flawless, or error 2001 D Jefferson nickel from the Denver Mint has reached an astonishing $49,266 in total value. That's right. A 5-cent coin that could fit in the palm of your hand has been sold for more than some cars, or even the down payment on a house. It's a reminder that hidden treasures still exist in plain sight, and sometimes the most ordinary coins carry the most extraordinary stories.